Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
I've told you everything I know.
By myself, I don't want to be all by myself, but I have to be today. Welcome back to the friendly confines for another fine edition of the Claire-Vs-Carlson Show. There are many things you can put in your ears. This is one of them. Part of the Late Night Sports Radio Network, latenightsportsradio.com. She's Claire, not her, because she's getting some rhinoplasty. Mullins at the Claire Bear 23. I'm Andy Carlson at Andy Carlson Show. Purple for the win. Football convos, all the good stuff. We can be found on Twitter at Claire-Vs-Carlson, YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, and all the other crap. Hi, Claire. Oh, wait. Claire's not here today. And like I alluded to, Claire is getting some work done on the old schnauzerino. So she is not with us. Otherwise, she'd be sounding like, oh my gosh, my name is Claire. Go Texans. That's what she would sound like. So it's just me today, but we still have a fun, packed Friday happy hour of too much show. Too much show again. And yes, we do have to talk a little bit about the Patriots ball nonsense, even though everyone and their mother, including ABC, NBC, CBS, all of the nightly news are talking about it. I think a Weather Channel did a little segment on it. I probably made that up, but it wouldn't be too far-fetched with it. But we'll touch on that real quick at the top of the show. My grandpa's favorite player goes on a little bit of a rant. I went on CNN. We'll talk about that. Marshawn Lynch won't talk, but has no problem grabbing his junk. Also, the Packers lose in delicious fashion. It was just a beautiful highlight for me. Reaction to recent head coaching and offensive coordinator and defense coordinator hires in the NFL. Speaking of which, one of them was not Doug Marrone. LOL, Doug Marrone. Andy Dalton is obviously a Pro Bowler. Hope Solo seems like a peach of a person. Kobe gone. Max Scherzer paid. And Mike Krzyzewski closes in on 1,000 wins. So that is all coming up on the solo edition of the Claire-Vs-Carlson Show, where it's just me. And usually in this spot, we talk about our weeks. And Claire, how was your week? Oh, you got nothing? All right. Mine was a pretty solid week. Tons of stuff with various podcasts. Purple for the win. We have our full off-season schedule lined up. But, yeah, enough about all of that. Too much self-promotion, as I feel like I'm doing here. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so that's why I sound a little bit like this. But we press on. And our first story is, I know, I'm sick of it too, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out here. The whole hashtag Deflategate. And even though the putting gate behind every single controversy, Benghazi Gate, Bounty Gate, seems so lazy ever since Watergate, and I don't know. I do like that Mike and Mike called it hashtag shrinkage. I think that's a little funny, a little homage to probably the best episode of Seinfeld ever. And there are so many just double entendres and dirty jokes going around with the balls and Tom Brady saying he has beautiful balls. And even though all of the fourth grade sophomoric humor jokes were out of the way within the first 5 minutes of this dropping, and now everyone's is just recycling forward, it gets you a little testy. You know what I mean? But the story, in case you've been living under a rock since it's on every television channel, 11 of the 12 Patriots footballs were found to be underinflated at halftime of the AFC Championship game versus the Colts, a game which they won 45-7. 11 of them were 2 pounds per square inch under the limits of 12.5 to 13.5 PSI that all NFL game balls must be at. The balls were removed at halftime, replaced with balls within those limits, and the theory is that if it's a lower PSI, the quarterback can get a better grip. It's easier to catch, easier for running backs to hang on to the ball. But Tom Brady kind of made that moot as he actually played better in the second half, going 9 for 9 in the third quarter, 2 touchdowns with the replacement football. So that whole argument is a little moot. And Bill Belichick and Tom Brady each had respective press conferences on Thursday, doing a little explaining to do, even though Belichick went on an 8-minute diatribe where he basically said, nothing. I know nothing. And it was interesting because he did seem pretty open about it, but you could tell that it was all lawyer scrub. Like there were hashtag there will be lawyers in this thing. That was crafted, prepared, and canned. And when the reporters were asking follow-up questions, which, by the way, that Patriots press room was a madhouse. Because since this is a national story, all of the local people, like Peter Alexander, NBC Nightly News, I think was there, and pretty much everyone from every walk of life, Inside Edition, CBS Nightly News, blah, blah, blah. They were there, and it was really embarrassing how they were just shouting questions over each other. When it opened up for questions, it just sounded like the floor of the stock exchange, just and no one got a question in edgeways. It reminded me of the Ray Rice situation where everyone, like Inside Edition, was just trying to throw out a controversial question, just throw it out there and then pull the pin instead of getting actual information. But anyways, when they opened up to Belichick for questions, he continually dropped I've told you everything I know. I've told you everything I know. I've taken a page out of Marshawn Lynch's book, and it's probably actually pretty smart, even though the NFL moves like a glacier pace when they're doing investigations, and I'm sure this will hang over Super Bowl week 2, so Belichick better have that I've told you everything I know line cut and paste, because he's going to get peppered with tons of questions leading up to the Super Bowl, which is really unfortunate because we should be looking at this little football game that's coming up rather than this inflate gate. There, yeah, I do have to say it. Tom Brady said next to nothing as well, although he did not come out with lawyer scrub, and he answered every question that was presented to him in, I do believe, an honest fashion. Maybe a little rubish, a little, I know nothing, I see nothing, playing dumb a little bit, but you do have to give him credit for standing up there and taking all the tough questions, because he did seem uncomfortable with the questions, but he threw everything out there, and I believe him to a degree, even though every quarterback they can put in front of a camera on ESPN has been like, oh, I obviously like the balls in this fashion, and the week before, the ball guys, we would go through this whole process of making sure I'm comfortable with the football. And I do believe that Tom Brady does like his balls a certain way. And sorry, I ranted earlier about how all the sophomore jokes are out of the way, and then I dropped one of my own. But we're all kind of fourth graders at heart. But him saying that he knew nothing about what was going on, and the balls were up to specifications when the referees inspected them, as they do for every game, and then they dropped those 2 PSIs on 11 of the balls before halftime. You got to think that Tom Brady will be in the loop on that. I don't buy the whole it was a rogue equipment guy who decided to just let the air out of the ball because he thought that's what Tom likes. He had to know that's how Tom Brady likes his football, because he said that he does like it right at the edge of the limit, the bottom end, the 12.5, but these balls are coming in at 10, 10.5, and there had to be something at play here. But then again, they could be blaming this all on the weather. It was cold, it was damp, it was that type of weather in Foxborough. And, in cold weather, and people here in Minnesota obviously know that in winter your tire air pressure will go down as the temperature goes down. And the NFL not inspecting the Colts footballs, which were obviously had to be up to spec before the game. They didn't inspect the Colts balls at halftime. They don't have a control group for this. So the Patriots could conceivably hide behind the theory that it was all weather related. Our footballs were deflated by halftime because it was so cold, so icy at Foxborough. And Yeah, the thing is about how the story leaked. Bob Kravitz, formerly Indianapolis Star and works on some sort of television station out there now, he broke the story, got a little bit of flack for it right away, but Chris Mortensen confirmed and the 11 out of 12 thing, and then we're off to the races on the story. But when I was thinking about it, you got to think, where did this story originate? It obviously did not start with the Patriots. It obviously did not start with the NFL because they were planning to investigate the Patriots because the Colts had brought this to their attention when they played in season earlier this year. But you got to think, this whole year of bad PR press, you have Ray Rice, Greg Hardy, Adrian Peterson, all that nonsense that happened earlier in the year, that 2 weeks before the biggest game of the year, they wouldn't want this story out. It's just more bad press that gets into the mainstream media. They wouldn't want that. So even though they have been more openly disclosing everything as far as punishment processes and even officiating, they would never put this out there because this is a bad look and overshadowing everything leading up to the most important game of the year. So you ask yourself, cui bono, who benefits? The Colts benefit. Because if the Colts putting us out there and even complained about it first in the middle of the season, leaking to possibly Bob Kravitz and then having him put it out there and people running with it, it benefits them because it gives them cover to their fans and to the national media. It's like, oh, hey, this is why we got our butts kicked in the AFC title game 45-7. It's probably not the reason, as the Patriots probably could have played with the cinder block and still won by 2 touchdowns. And Dwayne Allen even came on Twitter and said something to the effect that Patriots were just a better team that day, and I truly believe that. But since it is the Patriots and they'll never get the benefit of the doubt because of Spygate, the Colts, we're not talking about how come they got blown out the last 3 times that they played the Patriots. We're not talking about how they can't stop LeGarrette Blount and in the regular season they couldn't stop something called Jonas Gray. And we're not talking about that. So I still put this on the Colts. Now, it might not have been the DeQuell Jackson interception. He noticed that it was flat, passed out to equipment guy, that whole thing. It might have come from more from the top, but who knows? And do I think that Belichick knew something about deflated footballs give the offense an advantage? Yes. Belichick is the most detail-oriented head coach in the NFL, maybe in history. I don't know. He's a football genius. He obviously knew. And if you believe that Bill Belichick would not know that his starting quarterback likes the air pressure of a football a certain way, you're ludicrous. That's not a rational thought, because Bill Belichick would know, because he studies and would get every single conceivable edge right up to the edge of within the rules, but within the rules. I think this one might have gone a little too far. I don't think he directly instructed the equipment guy to, hey, why don't you let a little bit of air out for this game. And I also don't think this is the first time that they did it, because the first time you bend the rules at something is obviously not going to be the first time that you got caught. And it could have been like a wink, not implied thing, or, Belichick not directing but suggesting. Like, he had that head equipment guy in his office one day. He's like, Tom likes his football's a little bit deflated. And not directly instructing him to let air out of the ball, but then the equipment manager could pass it down to the ball boy. It's like, hey, why don't you give a little tss after the refs check the ball before the game, in that little 10-minute window that we have before the refs checking the ball and then out to the game. Who knows? Do I think Brady knows? Yes. How else would the equipment guy know that he likes them a little bit on the flat side? How would they not know that he would like them at 13.5 on the higher side? And it's also alluded to several times in the past. Florio brought up a good point. In 2006, where Peyton Manning and Tom Brady successfully lobbied for the league to allow visiting teams to contribute footballs to the game on offense. Otherwise, before that, it was just the home teams providing all the footballs, and the quarterbacks would only get to touch them before kickoff and warm-ups. And Maybe it's coincidence.